Under 5 minutes to go in the first. It's Caitlyn Clark. The ball's knocked loose. Doesn't matter. 29 feet away. Pulling up from Alexandria. Boom. No problem.
Caitlyn Clark just delivered the explosive performance we've all been waiting for. She nailed 7 three-pointers and scored over 30 points in front of a packed crowd of more than 20,000 fans, turning a dream scenario into reality for us supporters. In this remarkable game, Clark became just the second rookie in WNBA history to hit 7 three-pointers and reach a career-high 30 points. She matched Crystal Robinson's rookie three-point record from 1999 and surpassed Tamika Catching's record of 6 from 2002, setting a new franchise record for the most three-pointers by a rookie in a single game. Her standout performance not only led the Indiana Fever to an 85-83 victory over the Washington Mystics in the Commissioner's Cup, but also won over fans who had seen her struggle in earlier games. Moreover, she silenced critics who doubted her ability to adjust to the WNBA standards. The game, which was moved to Capital One Arena to accommodate the high demand to see the top draft pick, saw Clark shine in front of a record-breaking crowd of 20,333. This was the largest attendance for a WNBA game since the 2007 finals and the second-best performance since 1999. Clark also added 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and a career-high 4 steals to her impressive stats.
At this time 1 week ago, we were gearing up for Caitlyn Clark to go against Angel Reese for the first time in their WNBA careers. And by the time the Fever Sky game was over, the conversation had changed to Kennedy Carter's foul on Clark, a foul the WNBA would later upgrade to a flagrant foul 1 the very next day, and it was a foul that launched 1,000 takes.
Caitlyn Clark has made history as just the second rookie to score over 30 points, grab more than 5 rebounds, dish out over 5 assists, and hit more than 5 three-pointers in a single game. She also became the fastest WNBA player to reach 200 points and 75 assists, achieving this in just 12 games and surpassing Sue Bird's record of 14 games. "It felt great to shoot well. Even my misses felt close," Clark said after the game. "It was nice to have a night like this. Overall, we shot the ball really well. 16 made threes. I still see so many areas where I can improve, and I think that goes for our entire team." Clark is determined to maintain her high level of play, knowing she hasn't reached her peak yet. Her standout performance also led the Fever to deliver the Mystics their 11th consecutive loss, marking the worst start in the franchise's history. Kelsey Mitchell, Clark's backcourt partner, added 16 points, 4 assists, and 3 steals. Both Aaliyah Boston and Nalissa Smith contributed 10 points each. The team secured their second Commissioner's Cup win, moving to a 2-1 record in the competition. However, despite her impressive performance, Clark is still dealing with some rookie challenges, including leading the league in turnovers. She had 8 more turnovers in this game, bringing her season total to 67. Interestingly, she matched her career high of 30 points from May 28th against the Los Angeles Sparks. Along with her 6 assists, 8 rebounds, and 4 steals, she made 7 of 13 three-point attempts, tying a WNBA rookie record, and hit 5 consecutive shots from beyond the arc in the second half.
Yeah, I think it's a process more than anything. It felt good to shoot the ball well. Like, I feel like even my misses were like right there. I thought multiple were still going in, and it was nice to have a night like that.
Clark's confidence in her game is evident from recent performances. Earlier, she discussed the learning curve she faced in her first 11 professional games. After scoring just 3 points in a season-low performance against the New York Liberty on Sunday, Clark rebounded with what many consider the best game of her young WNBA career, thanks to a 4-day break. During this time off, Clark mentioned that the Fever took the opportunity to refine their set plays and practice against ball screen blitzes that had been challenging them. Against the Mystics, Clark found space to create off those screens, explaining, "As a shooter, once you see 1 or 2 shots go in, the basket just seems bigger and bigger." Indiana head coach Christy Sides noted that the strategy to get Clark more action off screens was deliberate, aiming to reduce her workload. She started feeling it late, which is always a good sign, Sides said. Defensively, Clark made an impact with a steal under the Washington basket to ignite a transition bucket in the first half and added another steal shortly after. By halftime, she had 4 assists and 3 steals, energizing the fans. Playing against the struggling Washington Mystics, who have 11 losses this season, also gave Clark a chance to look more at ease on the court. She mentioned before the game that she felt her passing was up to her standard, even as she and her Fever teammates continue to build their chemistry. Clark is also satisfied with her rebounding stats, considering her size. The 2-time NCAA Player of the Year came into Friday's game averaging 15.6 points, 6.4 assists, 5.1 rebounds, 1.3 steals, and a league-high 5.4 turnovers per game. Clark believes that as the game slows down for her, those turnovers will decrease. To reduce turnovers, Clark showcased her ball handling skills with a smooth one-handed drive and a scoop shot for 2 points in the first quarter. On the next Fever possession, she demonstrated her court vision with a give and go with second-year forward and 2023 top draft pick, Aaliyah Boston. Despite this, some flaws in Clark's game from the first 6 weeks of her professional career were evident on Friday. In the first quarter, she was stripped by fellow rookie Julie Van Loo, who then hit a transition three-pointer before Clark could recover. Clark responded with a step-back three-pointer near the Mystics logo. With the Fever starting 3s in 9, Clark is gaining a clearer understanding of how much experience counts in the WNBA. She offered some realistic insights into her situation, noting, if you're the #1 pick, you're probably going to a team that didn't have the best year before. It can be tough at times. One of the positives from the first 11 games has been the team's energy, which Clark says has remained consistent since their first game. Recently, Clark has been more in the media spotlight, particularly after taking hard fouls from the Chicago Sky's Chennedy Carter, which the league later upgraded to a flagrant foul. Clark addressed the controversy before Friday's game and stated she wasn't seeking an apology from Carter. While Carter faced criticism from fans upon the Sky's arrival in DC, Clark's performance highlighted her resilience and ability to rise above the situation.
And she's having a tremendous season. She's played great basketball in my eyes, probably in first place for 6th player of the year. And, it's just basketball at the end of the day. There's no grudges. There's nothing like that. It's a sport. It's competitive. It's not going to be nice all the time. That's not what basketball is. And I think people that play that at the highest level understand that.
Clark acknowledged that she was fully aware of the physical challenges she would face in the WNBA. Maybe some people didn't understand the circumstances, she said. Clark continued, "You're starting a new chapter and a new phase of your career as a professional athlete. It's not going to click overnight. That's just not how it works." Clark has been emphasizing this since the beginning of her WNBA career, but both she and her fans are well aware of her exceptional talent and quick learning abilities. She plays in front of sold-out crowds in large arenas, and the excitement only seems to grow with each game. While Angel Reese might not see it now, it's Caitlyn Clark who has made the WNBA the talk of the town, drawing record-breaking crowds and increasing viewership for fans watching from home.
Today, anytime the head is hit, they usually call it, and she gets her really hard there. Any contact above the shoulders.
Angel Reese hit Caitlyn Clark right on the head and ended up getting benched for it. To be honest, this situation isn't as glamorous or joyful for Clark as it might seem. The physical demands and the pressure of expectations, both on and off the court, have been tough. Adding to that, the stress from social media and various conspiracies has made things even harder. Clark talked about how challenging it all has been.
Younger than that at times, and I'm trying to navigate moving to a new city by myself. I'm trying to navigate, playing in a new league on top of everything else that has come with it. And
in the midst of all the chaos, Caitlyn Clark is trying to stay calm. It's definitely not easy or delightful. The world keeps pulling her into the whirlwind. Over just a few years in the spotlight, Clark's story has evolved from a fun narrative about a record-breaking college basketball scorer who brought new attention to women's basketball, to discussions about race, sexuality, fame, money, and opportunity. Then, it shifted back to concerns about her turnover numbers early in her first WNBA season. Clark highlighted the importance of focusing on mental health and emphasized that seeking help is crucial. "I can achieve everything in my life," she said. "I'm not afraid to ask for help and to tell people, you know, today is just not my day, and that's okay. Not every day has to be perfect."
I think it's something that a lot of people in our country struggle with, especially young individuals. And, I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to ask for help.
The concern isn't just about Clark herself. Tennis star Serena Williams recently praised Caitlyn Clark for handling early success well despite social media negativity. Speaking to the New York Post at the Tribeca Festival about her docuseries In the Arena, Serena was asked about Caitlyn. Serena responded, "I just love that she tries to stay grounded." She mentioned that Caitlyn avoids looking at her social media. Sharing some advice with Caitlyn, Serena said,
"If people are negative, it's because they can't do what you do, basically, and hopefully she'll continue to do what she's doing."
Relating to Clark's tough early career days, Serena Williams shared her own experiences with similar negativity as a young tennis star. "I was bullied," Serena said. "Things I went through would get people canceled now." Earlier this year, Serena expressed interest in owning a WNBA team while talking to CNN. "I would definitely be super interested with the right market," she reiterated. "We just need the right catalyst and people. And I think that's happening over the past 2 years. Women's sports are finally having their moment." Big stars like Serena recognize Caitlyn Clark's unprecedented rise to fame. She's one of the most popular athletes on the planet, and she hasn't even played her first WNBA game. In her first 14 games, Clark is on track to win Rookie of the Year, averaging 15.6 points on 36.7% shooting, 32.2% from three, 4.9 rebounds, and 6 assists. However, she's also facing intense physicality and committing a league-high 5.5 turnovers per game. Amid all the attention, fans are concerned about her mental health and well-being. Being famous has its perks, but at just 22 years old, there's worry about whether Clark can handle the long-term pressure. In ESPN's Full Court Press series, Clark admitted she sometimes wishes she were normal because all the attention and press can be draining. "There are days when you don't want to talk to everyone," Clark said, "but someone comes up to you, and this is their 10-second interaction with you, so you better smile and be kind. But sometimes, you just want to be normal." Despite the pressure, Caitlyn Clark seems to be handling it well so far. But with her fame expected to rise, fans are concerned about her mental health. Life as a celebrity has its downsides, but the pros often make it worth it. At 22, Clark's exciting journey in the world of basketball and celebrity continues. The latest chapter took place on Sunday in front of a sold-out crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. There, she faced Angel Reese, a Chicago Sky rookie familiar with high-profile showdowns against Clark. They had a heated battle in the 2023 NCAA National Championship game, where Reese's LSU Tigers defeated Clark's Iowa Hawkeyes, famously mocking Clark's "you can't see me" hand motion. Clark and Iowa got their revenge when they knocked out Reese and LSU in this year's Elite Eight in April. Attendance and merchandise sales spiked, and everyone assumed the latest Clark-Reese game would set viewership records. "I think it's the emotion and passion we play with," Clark said. "That's something that wasn't always appreciated about women's sports. And it should be. It makes it fun. We're competitors. And that's how the game should be. It's going to get feisty and physical, but both teams are just trying to win." In their second professional meeting, the Fever earned a 91-83 win, with Clark delivering her best all-around performance of her 15-game career. She scored 23 points on 11 shots, adding 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 blocked shots. In a dramatic turn, Reese hit Clark across the head, sending her to the floor as she attempted to block Clark's layup in the third quarter, earning Reese a flagrant foul. Clark's reaction was unexpectedly composed. "What's going through my mind is, I need to make these 2 free throws," she said. "That's all I'm thinking about. It's just part of basketball. It is what it is. She's just trying to make a play on the ball and get the block."
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
The trolls are acting without class and are trending on Twitter after LSU star Angel Reese taunted Caitlyn Clark with John Cena's "You can't see me" gesture after their win. Not just fans, but also sports commentator Keith Olbermann criticized Reese with a harsh tweet, calling her an I-word and warning her about the backlash that comes with messing with a new star who attracts thousands of new fans to basketball. It all began with these two basketball players, Reese from LSU and Clark from Iowa, becoming household names for sports fans with their record-breaking performances in the March Madness tournament. The NCAA's most valuable players seemed to have a tense relationship, with Reese alleging that Clark had disrespected several of her friends and teammates throughout the tournament. Here's a breakdown of the two stars and their rivalry. Reese and Clark faced off in the championship game, where Reese's LSU Tigers ultimately triumphed with a 102-85 win. In the game's final moments, viewers saw Reese respond to Clark's taunts, which drew significant online criticism. Reese mimicked Cena's "You can't see me" gesture and pointed to her ring finger, signaling their championship victory, all while staring Clark down. During their post-game press conferences, both players addressed the situation. Clark, displaying her sportsmanship, responded to questions about Reese's taunts by saying, "Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line, shake hands, and express gratitude that my team was in that position." She emphasized the importance of holding one's head high and being proud of their achievements. This is how a star beloved by fans reacts. On the other hand, Angel Reese had a different take. In her post-game interview, Reese acknowledged Clark as a hell of a player, but noted that Clark had disrespected her teammate Alexis Morris during the title game. Reese made it clear that she doesn't take disrespect lightly. Since their post-game interviews, both Reese and Clark have addressed the discussions surrounding their taunts. Speaking with ESPN, Clark defended Reese, saying, "I don't think Angel should be criticized at all. No matter which way it goes, she should never be criticized for what she did." Clark further demonstrated her class, stating, "I think everybody knew there was going to be a little trash talk throughout the entire tournament. It's not just me and Angel." Despite her tearful post-game interview, Clark spoke to ESPN, acknowledging that the LSU Tigers rightfully earned their NCAA championship over her team. "LSU deserved it. They played so well, and like I said, I'm a big fan of hers," Clark said of Reese. Clark's behavior off the court is truly exemplary. She always takes the time to appreciate other players, even though she rarely gets the same recognition in return. ESPN reported that Dr. Jill Biden was thinking about inviting both teams from the title game to the White House. This would be the first time the runner-ups were included in the celebratory visit. "So, I know we'll have the champions come to the White House. We always do," Jill said, according to CNN. "We hope LSU will come, but you know, I'm going to tell Joe I think Iowa should come too because they played such a good game." Reese shared the link to ESPN's story and added a joke with 3 laughing emojis, saying, "Can you see the jealousy and the hate?"
Really need to recognize what's going on, the success of the league, and when it comes to Caitlyn Clark, they need to quit being quote-unquote petty and hating on Caitlyn. And they just can't do it. Angel Reese just can't do it.
The First Lady eventually decided against inviting both teams, but the damage had already been done, according to Reese and the LSU Tigers. Stuff like that bothers me because, at the end of the day, you're a woman and you're supposed to be standing behind us, Reese said on the I Am Athlete podcast. "It's hard to see things like that and not comment back on it." Reese continued, "I'm not going to lie to you. I don't accept the apology. You can't take back certain things you say. You felt like they should have come because of sportsmanship, right? They can have that spotlight. We'll go to the Obamas. I'm going to see Michelle. I'm going to see Barack." Reese's comments sparked reactions from Caitlyn's fans, who roasted Reese as a result. After the Chicago Sky beat the New York Liberty 90-81 on Thursday night, Reese, A former LSU star appeared to take a dig at Caitlyn Clark in a now-deleted tweet. Reese has been crucial to the Chicago Sky's success, contributing an impressive 35 points in 2 of the first 3 victories of the season. Following their latest win, Reese tweeted, "And that's on getting a win in a packed area, not just because of one player on our charter flight," which many speculated was aimed at Clark, the standout rookie for the Fever. Clark's transition to the professional level has undeniably contributed to the growth of the WNBA, bringing in charter flights for the league. Several basketball fans did not take kindly to Reese's comment. One fan mocked her college GPA, saying, "That 1.8 GPA showing LOL," while another said, "Angel should be thankful to Caitlyn Clark because she's the main reason behind the great attention the WNBA's getting right now. She should be more grateful." Others looked forward to June 1st when Reese would face Clark's team, with one fan asking, "Why is she so obsessed with Clark? I haven't seen Clark bring up Reese once." Other fans labeled many women players as haters of Clark, noting, "It's truly amazing how much these women hate Clark, LOL." Reese's profile rose because of the rivalry. Otherwise, she might have been just another WNBA player. One fan even challenged the vague meaning of her tweet, saying, "What did she say? I read the tweet 10 times and still can't understand what she's trying to say." Despite the intense competition and scrutiny surrounding their games, Reese has tried to show some respect for Clark. In April's highly anticipated LSU-Iowa March Madness matchup, Reese clarified that there was no animosity between her and Clark. After LSU's loss to Iowa in the Elite Eight, the 2 players shared a hug in the handshake line, with Reese whispering encouraging words to Clark. Reese revealed that Clark told her to continue being a great player, and Reese reciprocated by encouraging Clark to keep elevating the game and win it. This moment highlighted the respect and admiration they have for each other as athletes, despite their fierce competition on the court. Both players have admitted that their rivalry isn't personal. Reese explained that outside the game, they can be friendly and supportive of each other. She acknowledged that people often misinterpret their competitive nature as hatred, but in reality, they respect each other and understand the nature of the game. However, recent events paint a different picture. Reese recorded an impressive stat line with 17 points and 20 rebounds in 36 minutes before fouling out with under 2 minutes left in the 4th quarter. On the other hand, Clark delivered a stellar performance, finishing with 41 points, including 9 3-pointers, 12 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and 1 block, leading Iowa to the Final Four.
It is still a team game, and but I'm rooting for Caitlyn because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before. I hope she kills.
LeBron James has chosen to focus on the positive impact Caitlyn Clark is having on the WNBA in her rookie season, despite the early struggles and criticism faced by players like Angel Reese. James praised Clark for boosting interest and viewership in women's basketball, highlighting her significant contributions to the sport's growth. "The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport is that more people want to watch, more people want to tune in. Don't get it twisted. Caitlyn Clark is the reason a lot of great things are going to happen for the WNBA," James said. James is absolutely right. Clark's impact is substantial. She is a major reason behind the increased viewership and support for women's basketball. Her arrival in the WNBA has led to more nationally televised games and the introduction of charter flights for WNBA teams, changes that players like Angel Reese might not like because they envy Caitlyn's stardom.
And here is the women's basketball world choosing to reject the attention that is finally coming their way by rejecting Caitlyn Clark.
The WNBA has really missed out by passing on Caitlyn Clark. She's not just any rookie, she's the most exciting thing to happen to the WNBA, NCAA, and women's basketball in general. But here's an intriguing twist. She got left out of the Team USA women's basketball roster. Talk about a major surprise for 2024.
Look, let's be honest, most people didn't even know they had women's basketball in the Summer Olympics. Now you have a chance to do this, and you don't take it, so here.
In basketball, having top-notch skills and fierce competitiveness can overshadow even the biggest teams worldwide, and Caitlyn Clark embodies all of that. So, what could be behind Team USA's decision not to include the Indiana Star rookie? First, let's take a look at Clark's performance in her rookie year with the WNBA. Despite the Indiana Fever's 3-for-29 season, Clark shined individually, averaging 16.8 points, 6.3 assists, and 5.3 rebounds. Her performance and impact are unprecedented for a rookie in the WNBA. So why isn't she on the Team USA roster? Experience can't be the excuse, considering the USA national basketball team's history of selecting rookies. Since women's basketball was added to the Olympics in 1976, at least 2 players under 25 have been included in every Olympic roster. The youngest ever to play for the USA women's team was Nancy Lieberman at 18 in 1976. In the Tokyo Games, the youngest were Asia Wilson and Nafisa Collier, both 24. Additionally, there's a precedent for including the top WNBA draft pick in Olympic years, such as Diana Taurasi in 2004, Candace Parker in 2008, and Breanna Stewart in 2016. The U.S. team didn't include Ndamukadi Agwumaike in the lineup back in 2012, even though she was with Los Angeles and now Seattle. Now, Caitlyn Clark finds herself in a similar situation. During her time at Iowa, Clark became the Division I career scoring leader for both men and women, finishing with 3,951 points. She also reached the national championship game in both her junior and senior years.
Look, let's be honest. Most people didn't even know they had women's basketball in the Summer Olympics. Now you have a chance to do this, and you don't take it, so here.
However, selecting Clark would have meant more than just highlighting her story. It would have introduced Olympic viewers and readers, many of whom aren't avid sports fans or haven't seen a women's Olympic basketball game, to the entire U.S. team. If you hadn't seen Breanna Stewart in her previous Olympic appearances, you would have tuned in this summer because of Clark's star power. The same goes for Brittany Griner. If she's healthy, she won't be there, and thus, many fans won't follow, as they usually don't. Imagine the global interest Clark could have generated, with reporters and fans from around the world watching her make stunning plays and signing autographs. Little girls in Europe and Africa might have been just as captivated as those in the USA. It all comes down to USA Basketball, whose mission is to promote, grow, and elevate the game at all levels. Missing out on representing your country in the Olympics is undoubtedly disheartening, and Caitlyn Clark likely felt that way when she learned she hadn't made the 12-player roster for the Paris Games. On Sunday, Caitlyn Clark and Fever coach Christy Sides addressed the news for the first time since it was announced that the top overall pick didn't make Team USA's final roster for the 2024 Olympics in Paris next month. Clark maintained her usual calm demeanor when reacting to the news, but Sides revealed her star's immediate response. Clark got the call while on the bus and texted Sides to share the news. Sides tried to keep her spirits up, and Clark's reaction was, "Hey coach, they woke a monster," which Sides found impressive. Clark noted that the team's mix of talent and experience, none of the players being younger than 26, was a key factor in her not making the roster. Despite this, Clark expressed enthusiasm for the players who did make the team. She said, "I'm excited for the girls on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and it could have gone either way, with me being on the team or not. I'll be rooting for them to win gold. Watching the Olympics has always been a dream for me, and this just adds motivation. Hopefully, in 4 years, I can be there." Clark was invited to the most recent training camp in April, which would have been her first chance to work with the senior national team, but she couldn't attend due to the Final Four. Nonetheless, she gave herself a strong chance with a standout rookie season. However, she has faced challenges with the physicality of the game and leads the league in turnovers, averaging 5.6 per game. These issues, along with the talent and experience of the players ahead of her, seem to be the reasons she didn't make the final roster. According to Christine Brennan of USA Today, Team USA veterans were concerned about how Clark's large fan base might react if she were chosen, but received limited playing time. Clark didn't go into details about the decision, but mentioned that USA Basketball called her to deliver the news before it was publicly leaked on social media. On the bright side, Clark will finally get a break when the WNBA takes a pause for the Olympics. She's been playing almost non-stop since her senior season at Iowa started in October. Once the Fever finish their pre-Olympic schedule on July 17th, they won't play again until August 16th. "I'm really looking forward to a break," Clark said. "I've loved every second of competing, but it will be great to rest, get healthy, and take a bit of time away from basketball. It'll be nice to find some peace and quiet for myself." There's a slight chance Clark could still join the team as an injury replacement. Notably, Chelsea Gray, who was selected, hasn't played in 8 months due to a foot injury, and it's unclear when she'll return. As one of the top playmakers, Clark could be next in line if Gray isn't back in time. However, Clark is focusing on the Fever and their effort to climb out of the 11th seed. "If USA Basketball needs something, I have a good relationship with them. But the 12 players they've selected are really great," Clark said. "I think they're in good hands. Cheryl Reeve is a great coach, and the selection committee did a really good job." Some media personalities suggest that not making Team USA could turn out to be a blessing in disguise for Clark. Jamel Hill, formerly of ESPN, suggested that not competing for the gold medal might actually be beneficial for Clark. In just a few weeks, Clark transitioned from college basketball to becoming a professional and dealing with a demanding schedule. A multi-week break could be just what she needs, Hill mentioned in an X post. Clark had almost no offseason. Her college career ended on April 7th after a long 6-month season, and just a week later, she was the first overall pick in the WNBA draft by the Indiana Fever. She started practicing almost immediately, with the Fever's preseason beginning 11 days before the WNBA season kicked off on May 14th. The WNBA season will take a nearly month-long break for the Olympics, with the Fever off from July 18th to August 15th. This will be the longest gap between games for Clark since before her final season. For what feels like forever, the WNBA has been constantly criticized and mocked.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the WNBA just because it's not good.
Basketball fans have poked fun at the empty championship parades and laughed at the small MVP trophies that looked like they came from a dollar store. Some even fell asleep while sitting courtside at games. Online, jokes circulate like, "I'm so mad. I had 2 WNBA tickets in my car, and today someone broke in, and now I have 4 WNBA tickets." You get the idea? The WNBA's image and reputation have been less than impressive.
The WNBA officials expanded to 10 teams this week, adding franchises in Detroit and Washington, D.C. But before you get too excited about the new additions to the league, remember, all of the players are still women.
Honestly, as a diehard NBA fan, the only WNBA trade that ever grabbed my attention was when Brittany Griner was exchanged for the Merchant of Death. It might sound harsh, but I'm just trying to highlight the fact that the WNBA has been so under the radar that even big basketball fans like me hardly hear about it. Lately, though, that seems to be shifting. Lately, it seems like everywhere I turn in the basketball world, it's all about Caitlyn Clark. Even during the 2024 NBA Finals, her name kept popping up. As a basketball fan, you just can't avoid hearing about her. After watching her games, reading articles, and listening to her interviews, it's clear why the hype is real. Her shooting is unbelievable, and the rest of her game is just as impressive. People are calling her the female Steph Curry, while others compare her to the legendary Pistol Pete Maravich. Before she even set foot in the WNBA, she was already being mentioned alongside some of the greatest names in the sport. Right now, she's completely changing the landscape of women's basketball, and many believe she's the most groundbreaking women's player of all time. In a league that's been struggling financially since its start, she's probably the only player who can truly draw fans and fill stadiums, boosting revenue along the way.
You just really
17,000 people at the game yesterday, bro.
And listen,
at 10:30 in the morning.
God damn.
Matinee. Her story right now reminds me a lot of Ronda Rousey, the former UFC champion who put women's MMA on the map when no one was paying attention. From that perspective, the WNBA should be incredibly thankful because they finally have a chance to step out of the shadows and into the spotlight. Yet, instead of embracing her, they're attacking, bullying, and doing everything they can to corner and shut her down. Why is that? Why is the WNBA openly going after their star player, the one person who has a real shot at transforming their sport?
Up in time, Clark for the win!
This is why Caitlyn Clark will go down as one of the best to ever play the game.
To understand why some WNBA players are turning against Caitlyn Clark, we first need to take a closer look at the league's culture. About 7 years ago, a former WNBA champion and top draft pick revealed that she was bullied within the league due to her sexual orientation and popularity. In her own words, she said, "I wanted to play 2 more seasons of WNBA, but the experience wasn't good for my mental health. I didn't like the culture in the WNBA, and without saying too much, it was toxic for me. It broke my spirit." Following her statement, many WNBA players denied the claims, saying her experience was personal and didn't represent the league as a whole. While their point might be fair, her story becomes more believable when you start adding up other examples. Take Luka Doncic, for instance. When he first joined the NBA, he tried to show support for the WNBA by creating what seemed like a harmless video.
What's up, Ricky? I know you're having a great season, so just keep pushing. I know you're going to be the rookie of the year, so best of luck to you.
The video Luka Doncic created was completely harmless and, if anything, leaned towards being positive. The WNBA could have either thanked him or just stayed silent if they didn't agree with it. Instead, the Minnesota Lynx responded harshly with a tweet saying, "Says a guy who hasn't been to a WNBA game all season but got sent a jersey and recorded a scripted video." The tweet is still up if you want to find it. It was never deleted. This reflects a broader mindset within the WNBA. Another recurring issue is that the league has often complained about pay, arguing they deserve higher salaries simply because NBA players earn so much.
We are not asking you to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking you to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Got it. This is a 1 in a billion chance, but there are some incredibly rare moments in the NBA, like the most insane game winner. One of the most impossible dribbles.
LeBron drives in. Oh,
Everything you see in this video is exceptionally rare. First, we've got Austin Reeves making a last-second shot that stunned everyone.
End to the second quarter, and the Lakers back up by 10. Let's go to Lisa.
He came in, nailed that three-pointer, and even hit a fan. That's a 1 in a trillion moment. JaVale McGee pulled off one of the rarest blocks you'll ever see when he swatted the ball with one hand.
Oh, McGee just grabs it. I told you, he's fun to watch. What a block.
Andrew Wiggins pulled up from the wing and made an unbelievable shot.
Draymond slips the screen. Wiggins from the wing. Oh, it did a victory lap.
LeBron has had some of the most extraordinary moments ever, but I've never seen him just stand there while cheerleaders danced around him. It almost looks like his controller died. Meanwhile, Indiana Pacer fans had their own wild moment when a bat flew into the arena and no one could catch it.
Is that a bat? And guys, everybody's a little leery.
Yeah, everybody is. You can see it right there flying across the floor. Where's Boomer?
At just 6 feet 2 inches, Gary Payton went up for a jump ball against the 7'1" Jonas Valanciunas and pulled off this move.
Kane Fitzgerald throws it high enough. Payton has great vertical. Look at Payton trying to move his hand. And Payton won it. GP2, young glove. He was excited about that one too.
I'd be thrilled too if I outjumped a giant, but I wouldn't be too happy about what Jeff Green did. He actually dunked the ball on his own head.
Because that's going to be important. Doc saying that went in and hit one of the Knicks players on the head.
The guy gave himself a facial. You don't see that every day. And you also don't see shots like Corey Brewer's. After getting fouled by a defender, he took a shot from behind the backboard, and this happened.
Allison waiting to check in for Oklahoma City. Brewer hits the deck, and they're going to count that basket.
That guy's lucky the backboard is on his side, because it definitely isn't a fan of Danny Green. Green took a three-pointer that bounced around the rim and ended up sitting on top of the basket. I'm not sure how that even happens. Meanwhile, Spencer Dinwiddie tried to tip a loose ball to a teammate and ended up scoring by accident.
Tipped out again and up and in by Dinwiddie.
Of course, he played for the Wizards and knows a bit about magic, but this commentator had a talent for ruining clutch moments, as he mistook an air ball from Trevor Ariza for a game-winning three.
Beal driving, kicks it out. Ariza, baseline, dagger! Wow. Ariza from the baseline for three, and the Wizards with a miraculous comeback in Washington. They're saying it did not go. Okay. Well, from our angle, it looked like it dropped straight through, but clearly.
I have to admit, I thought that shot went in too. And I used to think Russell Westbrook was just a basketball player, but it turns out he has another role, mopping the court during his own game.
Situations offensively, as Russ is doing a little bit of house cleaning.
You know what? If you want the job done right, reminds me of the All-Star game in New York a couple years ago, where he did.
Now we need to discuss Marc Gasol, because he managed to knock Clint Capella's shoe right off the court.
Clint Capella loses his shoe.
And technical foul called on Marc Gasol for kicking the shoe.
That referee is really off his game, but honestly, all the refs seem to be. This one even ejected Anthony Davis just for tying his shoes.
I don't understand how you can lose your shoe. They don't strap him up very tight.
Oh, AD's been tossed. He's out of the game. They let him play on before AD could put the shoe on.
What does the ref expect him to do? Play barefoot? I'm not sure, but I do know that James Harden ended up playing on one foot. After injuring his ankle, he took one of the most unusual looking free throws ever. I wouldn't advise shooting like this guy though. He actually pulled up from behind the backboard.
Meeks on the drive, looking to draw contact, and it counted at one.
I'd challenge him to make that shot again, but I wouldn't challenge anyone to pull off a play like this. Najee Marshall made one of the worst passes I've ever seen.
Wes has gotten 17 minutes off the bench. What in the heck?
Tony Allen went for a layup and ended up getting the ball stuck on the ramp.
The roll, the follow. What's it gonna do? What's it gonna do? It's gonna stick.
The ball essentially stopped being a ball in the middle of the play. While getting a layup stuck is uncommon, having an alley-oop get stuck is unheard of.
6.8 rebounds, 4.7 assists per game. Lob it up. Dunk attempt, wedgie. That doesn't happen.
You come across something new every day in the NBA. For example, the Raptors once had two players block a shot simultaneously.
Tatum! Denied! Denied!
The Raptors had me seeing double, but Vince Carter had me seeing triple. He launched a full court shot, and it actually went in.
Last shot here. Vince.
Let's be honest, that shot had no business going in. I'm surprised it even got close. Meanwhile, this pass from Amare Stoudemire missed badly.
Stoudemire throws it to a woman sitting there courtside.
Who is he even passing to? A ghost? It seems like some NBA players make baffling decisions. Like this guy who tried to check into the game without a jersey.
To be fair, he had been injured. He hadn't played in 3 months, and there was it. When he took off his warm-up, it looked like it came off with it.
What on earth is he thinking? It's probably the same thing DeMar DeRozan is, because this guy passed the ball right to the other team's bench.
35 points in the period as DeRozan throws it away, and this one.
Honestly, that's not even DeRozan's fault. Sure, Joakim Noah was wearing the same colors and trying to trick him, but there's no fooling Steven Adams. This guy can do the unbelievable. One time, he got fouled so hard that he broke his shooting hand, but instead of leaving the game, He walked up to the free throw line and gave it his all.
Cheering him on. He wants to stay in the game. How about that?
In 2006, David Lee stunned everyone. With just 0.1 seconds left in the second overtime, the Knicks were tied with the Bobcats at 109. 109 when suddenly,
as they throw it at the basket.
he made it just in time, proving that in the NBA, everything can shift in the blink of an eye. The Nuggets mascot learned this the hard way when he tried to dunk off a trampoline to impress the crowd. And suddenly, Mutombo is a real menace. He even threw the ball at him, which is basically assault. But we have one final moment that shocked everyone. A time when a Kings fan sitting courtside got so drunk that he ended up stinking up the entire arena.
Man, they must have spilled a keg over there or something. I don't know what happened.
Man, I think there's a reason why. Man, you're holding your nose. Oh, boy.
The commentator was spot on. He really messed up. That's definitely a fail. There are unlucky moments in the NBA, and then there are even worse ones, like missing a game-winning shot by just an inch or celebrating a bit too early. This video highlights some of those unfortunate moments. For example, all New Orleans needed was one defensive stop to win, but instead, a player accidentally tipped the ball into his own team's basket.
Incredible. That might be one of the most unbelievable things I've seen.
Goran Dragic was on defense when the ball took an unfortunate bounce.
Step forward. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
This fan decided to propose to his girlfriend in front of thousands of people, but things didn't go as planned. First, she tried to lean in and tell him it wasn't the right time. Then, she just ran off, leaving the poor guy on center court doing the walk of shame with a mascot. If that's not unlucky, I don't know what is. And even Michael Jordan, the GOAT who rarely makes mistakes, has had his share of bad luck, like the time he went for a layup and the ball got stuck.
Oh, look at
this! In this play, not only does Steven Adams get scored on by the player he was guarding, but the ball also ended up in the most unfortunate spot after going in. Luckily, it didn't cost him the game, because with just 1 second left and the Heat down by 3, Bam Adebayo got the ball and tossed up a prayer.
There's the miss.
Oh,
Adebayo,
wow.
holy cow!
Wow.
That ball was just inches away from being the luckiest shot ever, but Glenn Davis was inches away from seriously hurting someone. He chased after a loose ball and ended up crashing into some fans. Imagine paying a ton of money for those seats, only to get flattened by a 300-pound player. Now, that's unlucky, but some fans have it even worse. Like this girl who bought courtside seats only to find herself sitting behind the tallest guy in the league, 7'6" Taco Fall. Seriously, either get her a booster seat or give her a refund. This is ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous, James Harden once made a dunk that the refs didn't even count.
Oh, he missed it! No, that was good.
As the game was winding down, the Hawks needed a bucket to secure the win. But when Trae Young went to score, the ball got stuck on the rim. His teammates couldn't believe it. And speaking of disbelief, you won't believe what a referee did to Steph Curry. It was a perfect pass if the target was his face. Then there's Kemba Walker, who pulled up from 3 and started celebrating a bit too early. Honestly, I would have been dancing too. It looked like it was going in, and I could have sworn Baron Davis won the game for the Hornets with a buzzer-beating 3, but the refs ended up calling it off.
Davis at the buzzer. No, yes, no, it's waved off. Bernie Fryer says no, it will not count.
That ref must have been watching a completely different game because that shot should have counted. And speaking of shots that should have counted for something, this next one really should have. A fan had the chance to win 6 months of rent paid, and then this happened.
3, 2, 1. Oh! Oh, man!
I I guess he's stuck paying that mortgage because this guy was left scratching his head after his free throw touched every part of the rim and somehow didn't go in. What more can you do? It was in twice and still missed. Sometimes it's just not meant to be. Just ask Kevin Durant. The Nets needed a three-pointer to win the Eastern Conference semifinals, and when KD took his shot, he needed to be behind the three-point line, but instead, he stepped on it. So instead of winning the game, Brooklyn tied it and sent it to overtime, where they ended up losing. They were one pinky toe away from winning the series. That's a total bummer, but this next moment is just painful. Jalen Brunson got karate chopped by his own teammate.
Ooh, and a shot to the face of Brunson.
This Warriors fan was sitting courtside and ended up right in the splash zone. Blake knew exactly what he was doing, but karma caught up with him in Brooklyn when he ran into a brick wall, his own teammate.
Extra feet. Oh, wow. 2 Nets go down.
Blake, the guy was standing right in front of you, and you still ran into him. Come on, man. And speaking of common sense, this referee could have used some too. He got steamrolled by Devin Booker.
They want to be in the very near future. All right, K-Ray. Booker making the steal, goes down hard, and he's still on the floor.
It seemed like Booker took the hit worse than the ref, but Sam Decker had it even rougher. He was gearing up for a wide-open dunk and ended up taking a seriously unlucky fall.
Was measuring his steps and everything, man. Yeah, there we go. But the ball hit him in the face twice. No, once. Just once.
Anthony Davis got caught slipping as well when he almost got injured by a mop.
AD, look out below. Finger roll. He was almost off balance when he left.
Yeah, and he slipped on the mop down there.
Things aren't looking good. Anthony might miss 3 months after that. Meanwhile, this fan is missing their beer because Kyle Lowry accidentally knocked it out of their hands.
Falling in that front row, the fans covered. Oh.
When Kyle Lowry is falling into your lap, you better move quickly, just like Carmelo Anthony did. With only 6 seconds left, he had to launch a shot to try to win the game. But this happened.
Anthony puts up a 3, in and out.
During a jump ball, Darko Milicic accidentally put the ball into his own basket.
Tapped up and in.
After the jump ball with Darko Milicic.
The man was shocked, and so was Ken Bazemore. Even though he blocked Kyle Lowry's shot, the ball still went in.
Pick by Lowry. Really piling up the blocks. There's Baze flying through the air, ends it, and then it goes up
And right in the basket.
In this play, Jeremy Sochan should have been defending his face because he took a bullet pass from Russell Westbrook straight to the dome.
Lonnie was thinking about going a little back door that time for the jam.
In this game, Kobe took a shot that seemed destined to go in. He had the ball halfway down the basket, but it somehow popped out. It's like the basket's cursed or something. But this next moment is so unlucky, it should be in the Hall of Shame. A Sixers fan was chosen to shoot a half-court shot for a prize. And while in the past, some people have won TVs, brand new cars, or even $1 million, look at what this guy ended up winning.
If you make a half-court shot, everyone in here gets a Chick-fil-A biscuit. This is for anybody! 5, 4, 3, 2, oh!
This guy just made one of the toughest shots ever and ended up with a $3 biscuit. I really hope it came with butter because that's rough. But let's move on to the final unlucky moment. During warm-ups, Kevin Durant was messing around and punched a ball into the air. When it came down, it landed in the unluckiest spot.
And it landed on somebody. You just see a bunch of people go surround the guy. And I saw an old man with a veteran's hat on. I'm like, oh, this ain't good. It hit his glasses. It cut the man. Kevin ran to the stands, profusely apologized, left. His security guy came back and apologized and invited the man to come back to the locker room. And when the guy talked to Kevin, he said, look, you better win the game now after doing that.
Kevin gave Grandpa some serious flashbacks with that move. That was a total fail.
Not a flagrant foul penalty one, which it probably should have been upon review, at least by our account. This, you could have gotten Reese for a personal, but can also see that being a no call.
Fans are really upset that nobody from Caitlyn Clark's team is there to back her up as she faces tough times on the court. It's unfair for Caitlyn and pretty sad from Angel Reese's perspective. While many NBA and WNBA veterans have shown their support for Clark, Angel McCoughtry took it to the next level. She's offered herself to the Indiana Fever, ready to come in and defend Clark.
Caitlyn, she's a great player. I'm a fan of her. You know, I think our girls jealous? I don't know. She got $28 million from Nike.
She's getting a $28 million deal from Nike, which is huge considering that half of the WNBA players won't even make $1 million in their entire careers. A retired 5-time WNBA All-Star has stepped up, offering to be Caitlyn Clark's bodyguard as she keeps getting targeted by other players. Angel McCoughtry, now 37, weighed in on the recent buzz surrounding Caitlyn Clark after Chennedy Carter's cheap shot on Saturday. Clark's fans are hoping for someone to step in and protect the Indiana Fever star since her current teammates aren't doing much. Speaking with TMZ Sports, McCoughtry said she's willing to come out of retirement to be Clark's bodyguard if the Fever needs one. She's got more than just a tough attitude on the court. The 2-time WNBA scoring champion, drafted first overall in 2009, sounds ready for a fight.
Lead. McCoughtry skying in, able to finish in the foul.
Take care of your players, all of y'all, McCoughtry said.
Take care of your players. All of y'all. I mean, I don't care who it is.
McCoughtry said it boldly, showing her willingness to join the Indiana Fever to defend and support Caitlyn Clark. Former NBA players and others in the basketball community have raised concerns about protecting Clark as some WNBA players try to gain a physical and psychological edge over her. Fellow WNBA players seem to think they can make a name for themselves by targeting Caitlyn Clark. Meanwhile, Fever teammates have passively watched as Clark gets pushed around on the court. During Saturday's win over the Chicago Sky, Fever players stood by as Chennedy Carter unnecessarily hip-checked Clark on an inbound pass. Since that dirty play, no Fever teammates have stepped up to defend Clark or voice their support. McCoughtry added, "I don't care who it is. If somebody's dragging your player down by the neck, I'm in your face. What the hell are you doing? Hey, we could go have lunch later, but right now, we're competing. Don't grab my player like that."
I'm gonna step up for you. Somebody get my teammate face. Here I am.
Why is that happening, Angel?
After receiving a lot of criticism from fans and veterans like McCoughtry, Indiana Fever players have shown their intent to fiercely defend rookie sensation Caitlyn Clark. They've been facing a whirlwind of opinions accusing them of not safeguarding their star player. The #1 pick in the recent WNBA draft has endured a lot of physical play, sparking debates over her teammates' protective efforts. Kelsey Mitchell, one of the team's leaders, addressed these criticisms head-on after a recent practice, stating, "At the end of the day, not only is she human, but she's a 22-year-old kid. There are certain things she's going to experience over time," Mitchell said.
She deserves to give herself some grace, and I think a lot of people around this world should too. And I think that at the end of the day, not only is she human, she's a 22-year-old kid.
It's our job as a team to make sure she's covered from a standpoint of feeling mentally and physically safe. Obviously, we want her to feel at home all the time, stressed Mitchell.
She's going to transition. There's going to be things that she's just going to experience that comes with time. And I think that the world should give her some grace. I really do. And I think that's our job as a team to make sure that she's covered from the standpoint of feeling mentally and physically safe, obviously. But psychologically, we want her to, at the end of the day, she got to go home and sleep. So that's our deal. We want her to feel at home all the time.
The backlash intensified after a controversial incident involving Chicago Sky's Chennedy Carter during a heated game. Carter shoved Clark to the ground, and the Fever players were criticized for their slow response and lack of confrontation towards Carter's antics. Angel Reese and other Sky members even applauded the cheap shot, highlighting the contrasting reactions between the two teams. This behavior has alarmed many, including politicians. Indiana Representative Jim Banks is demanding answers from the WNBA to ensure Clark is protected from such incidents. Banks sent a letter to Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, seeking details on the league's plans to safeguard Clark. In his letter, Banks praised the increased fan interest in women's basketball that Clark has generated before referencing Carter's seemingly unprovoked foul. He also mentioned that the foul was visibly cheered on by Carter's teammate Angel Reese. While acknowledging the state's familiarity with tough basketball, Banks described the incident as a cheap shot that could have resulted in an injury and should not be tolerated. He criticized the lack of punishment for Carter beyond a retroactive upgrade to a flagrant foul and some unrelated fines for missing media appearances. To Banks, this indicates that the WNBA isn't holding hostile players accountable or enforcing their own rules of sportsmanship. Banks posed several questions to the commissioner, including what steps the WNBA is taking to curb excessive physical targeting of specific players, whether individual organizations will be held responsible for allowing players with histories of violence to target their competitors, and if repeatedly diminishing fellow players' talents benefits the league's overall success. He also asked if it is inspiring to young female athletes to see players like Caitlyn Clark physically targeted for their success. There's no question that many WNBA players have struggled to hide their resentment towards Clark for the attention and money she generates through endorsement deals. The WNBA's only hope of achieving lasting relevance in the broader sports landscape is by creating and sustaining stars. Clark is essentially the first star of this magnitude the league has had in years, if not ever. It is not in the league's best interest to allow other players to target her, especially if that targeting leads to injury. Banks' questions are crucial, and the WNBA's answers may be even more so.
What an incredible talent she is, 2 Final Fours, leading scorer, history of college basketball. So I look forward to watching her ongoing development in the league.
But the response to this letter from the WNBA commissioner is epic. Speaking at his usual press conference ahead of the NBA Finals on Thursday, League Commissioner Adam Silver addressed the flagrant foul by Chicago Sky guard Chennedy Carter on Indiana Fever player Caitlyn Clark last weekend. He called it a welcome to the league moment, adding that it's nothing new in basketball.
It's nothing new in basketball that there's sort of welcome to the league moments.
Carter's off-ball foul against Caitlyn Clark on Saturday has sparked an outcry from critics, who argue that Carter appeared to go out of her way to throw her hip and shoulder into Clark, who had her back turned and fell to the ground after the foul. Silver addressed a wide range of topics, including Clark's rising stardom in the league, the future of the WNBA, and an upcoming media rights deal. Of course, I want to see Caitlyn Clark treated fairly and appropriately in the league, Silver told reporters. I would say it seems like she can take care of herself. She's a tough player.
Of course, I want to see Caitlyn treated fairly and appropriately in the league. I would say it seems like she can take care of herself. She's a tough player.
Following the foul on Saturday, Clark told reporters she was doing her best not to let it get to her. I think at this point, I know I'm going to take a couple of hard shots a game, and that's what it is. I'm trying not to let it bother me and just stay in the game and focus on what's important, because usually it's the second person that gets caught if you retaliate. Silver called the passionate interest in Clark, as well as her rivalry with Chicago star player Angel Reese, very healthy for women's basketball and the league.
I think ultimately this is very healthy for women's basketball in the WNBA.
It's generating a lot of extra interest, Silver said. To be fair to the other players and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, this didn't just start this year. He noted that while the WNBA has had several star players in recent years, Clark has significantly increased interest in the league.
It's generating tremendous additional interest. In fairness to the other players and in fairness to Commissioner Engelbert, this didn't just start this year. Certainly, we're seeing an acceleration of it with Caitlyn, but many individual stars who came in this league in the last several years, and then again, I've been with the league for a long time, so I was there the early days with Val Ackerman, and of course David Stern when we developed the WNBA.
If you look back at our original business plan from 28 years ago, we didn't anticipate it would take this long to achieve the level of popularity we're seeing now, Silver said. Ultimately, I don't want to make too big of a deal about one player or one call. However, the growing rivalries in professional basketball, both between teams and individual players, can be beneficial for the sport, he continued.
If you went back and looked at our original business plan from 28 years ago, we didn't think it would be such a long timeline to kind of break into the sort of popularity we're seeing now. So ultimately, you know, I don't want to make too big an issue about one particular player, one particular call, but I think the burgeoning rivalries in professional basketball, you see rivalries obviously among clubs, but also among individual players too. And I think that can be ultimately good for the sport.
Earlier this week, ESPN host Pat McAfee apologized for referring to Clark as a white bee.
I utilized the words white bee to describe Caitlyn Clark as being the superstar. Those were not my intentions, but that's how you took it. That's on me. I do apologize.
During a segment discussing whether race has influenced the WNBA rookie's rapid rise, Silver said he accepted McAfee's apology and considered it a misstep. Regardless of the commissioner's views, Caitlyn's growing fan base and her exciting yet kind style of play are what's truly genuine, Silver said. This is what basketball fans want. Women's basketball enthusiasts are now Caitlyn's fans because she's brought the sport to a place where everyone is talking about it.